on, Fit Fam? Welcome on back to my channel. My name is Megan Janice, the founder of Nomadic Fitness, and I teach you ladies how to eat way more food without any restrictions and work out smarter instead of harder so you can build that banging hourglass body, feel amazing in it, and stay this way year-round for life. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and if you're coming on back, thanks so much for joining for another video. Okay fam, so first off, you may notice my background is different, and that's because I'm back in Mexico. I lived in Mexico from right before the pandemic in 2020 all the way up to early this year in April 2023. Then I moved to Barcelona for a couple of months, which is where all my last videos were. And now I'm back here because I love it in the winter. It is just the perfect time of year. So keep following along with the nomadic fitness journey. I'll be showing you all over the world where I go and how I stay fit and healthy while doing so. Okay, so in today's video, I am going to show you ladies how you actually track your food to hit your macros, because I talk a lot on this channel about needing to hit your macros, which is your protein, fats, and carbs. That is what macros are if you are not familiar with them. All calories are made up of macros, right? And it is a big mistake to only track calories because not all calories are the same. All calories are made up of 1, 2, or even 3 of the macros, protein, fats, and carbs. And we need all 3 of them, but we need the right amount of each of the 3 because they all play a very different role in the way that you look in your body and also the energy levels and satiety that you have. So I realize a lot of women don't actually feel confident with tracking macros. They're not really sure how to track their food. So in today's video, I'm going to show you a full day of eating. I am at the end of a cut. So at the very end of a fat loss phase. I've been in it for almost 5 months after being in a building phase where I was focused on putting on muscle for 6 months. So it's first thing in the morning. So let me walk you through the breakfast that I'm going to make and how you track it in the app MyFitnessPal and how you log everything correctly to be sure that you are going to hit your macros and have amazing success with your physique goals. Okay, so step 1 of tracking macros properly, you need to get a digital kitchen scale. Just like this. This is the Amazon Basics. I'll link it in the description below. It's literally $10. A lot of people freak out when they think, oh my God, I have to actually weigh out my food. That's insane. That's just like really obsessive and it's gonna take so much time. Here's the thing, you're already making your food in the kitchen. Taking 1 extra second to just weigh something out, literally it's so quick and so easy. And it may seem obsessive, but the thing is, if you want to get fit, you're already putting time and energy into working out, into eating healthy. Wouldn't you rather take 1 extra little second and make sure that you are for sure eating the right amount of food that you need to be eating to guarantee you achieve your goals? So try to change your perspective around this. And I did start seeing such crazy results so quickly once I started dialing in my nutrition. I started to get the kinds of results I thought that I didn't have the genetics for. So all of that to say, get yourself a digital kitchen scale. Literally click on the link in the description, order it right now to your house so you can start tracking macros properly. In the meantime, before you have your scale, you can do things like cups and tablespoons instead, but it's much better to do things by weight rather than by volume, because by volume, there's a little bit too much room for error. So doing it by weight, you can guarantee that you are for sure eating that exact amount because you're literally weighing it out. Okay, so let's make this breakfast. So I always just put the pan right on top of the scale like this. And then I'm gonna add in 2 grams of butter. You can also use like an olive oil spray. You can use whatever you want. Okay, so now it says 2 grams on the scale. You wanna make sure you hit this button, the tare button, and that's always gonna set the weight to 0. So then that way, every time you're weighing something, you know that that's the actual weight of the thing that you were weighing out. Okay, so now I'm gonna mix my eggs. I'm gonna use this to mix, which I know looks funny, but it gets the job done. Okay, so one thing I'm adding in is gonna be some feta cheese. So this is still in its package and it has a barcode. So I'm gonna show you guys in a minute how you can scan the barcode to be able to log things really easily in MyFitnessPal. I know I want 10 grams of feta cheese. So again, I have it set to 0 by hitting the tare button. So I'm just gonna put 10 grams into this mug here. Okay, and then I'm gonna add in 3 eggs, which you don't need to actually measure the eggs. I mean, you can just log an egg, 2 eggs, 3 eggs. So that's an easy thing. Whisk that together. All right, come over here to the pan that has a nice melted butter. Okay, and add a little salt on top. Okay, so now the eggs are cooked, so I'm gonna have them with some corn tortillas, which is one of my favorite parts about living in Mexico, is you can always get fresh corn tortillas. So I worked it out from my macros that I'm gonna have 4 corn tortillas, and now I'm gonna put a little bit of the eggs onto each one. Normally, by the way, I would also add in spinach with the eggs because every single meal you make, you wanna think, okay, where is the protein source? So that's the eggs in this case. You wanna think, what's the starchy carb? So that's something like rice, quinoa, bread, pasta, potatoes, beans, or some other kind of grain like the tortilla in this case. Then you want to think, okay, what's a little bit of healthy fat? So obviously the yolk is also a fat, but I put in a little bit of feta cheese. So that's mainly a fat, but it actually has a little bit of protein as well. And then you also want to think, where is the fiber? So that's the fruit or veggie. So yeah, normally I would add in spinach, but I just don't have any. But I am going to have a banana, so I'm getting a little bit of fiber from that as well. So those are the main categories to think about, is protein, starchy carb, fats, fiber. And then the optional 5th category, as I like to call it, is healthy flavorings or healthy condiments. So for me, in this case, that's gonna be some ketchup. So I like to put ketchup on my eggs. Not everybody likes that, but I do. So again, really important. Some people forget to track their condiments, and then they can end up being like way off on what they're actually consuming and then wondering why they're not getting results. It's because you need to make sure to track literally everything. The only thing you don't have to track is actual vegetables. I personally don't track vegetables. If you want to track them, you can, but it's just that they're so negligible. Like it's so few calories, so few carbs, and obviously they're really good for you. So it's not like it's going to make or break your results, but everything else you want to track, including condiments. So again, set my scale to 0. I hit the tare button, and then I'm gonna add 10, actually I'm gonna do 15 grams of ketchup. And I'm just gonna also have 1 banana with it, like I said. So same thing, I actually like to weigh out my bananas because bananas can really vary in size. Like some bananas are big and they're like 130 grams, and some bananas are kind of small like this and they're more like 70, 80 grams. So I'm just gonna peel it, and then yeah, it says that this banana is 98 grams, 97 grams. So good to know because it can be a big difference in the total amount of carbs if it's a bigger or smaller banana. Okay, so this is first meal of the day, so I'm gonna go ahead and eat this, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to track it in MyFitnessPal. Okay, that breakfast was so yummy. So now I'm just gonna have a quick coffee. So I'm gonna show you how I measure out what I put in my coffee. So I have my milk here, and again, I put the mug right on the scale, set it to 0, and then I'm gonna measure out 40 grams of milk. Okay, and then I like to put honey in my coffee, but whatever kind of sugar, you can do whatever, just make sure that you track it. So I usually do just like 5 grams, so pretty much a teaspoon of honey. All right, so now I'm gonna show you how I track everything. Okay, so let's go into MyFitnessPal. We're gonna go into the diary. So like I said, for any packaged product that has a barcode, you can scan the barcode. Now you can only do this with the premium MyFitnessPal, which you do have to pay for. So it's kind of annoying, but I do think the premium is worth it. You get slightly more convenient features. And if you buy it for the year, it's really not that expensive, but you can still use the free version of MyFitnessPal. It's not a big deal. You would just have to make a food to track specifically the amounts of the products. So I think scanning the barcode is easier. So you click add a food, scan barcode, and then pull it up. So you're gonna see that it says serving size and number of servings. So this is really, really key. This is how you track things correctly. For serving size, you're gonna choose, in this case, it's 1 milliliter. So milliliters and grams are the same. So you always wanna track to the gram or the milliliter. You can track ounces, pounds, whatever you like, but those are just bigger units of measurement. So it's ideal to track with smaller units since you wanna be really specific about the exact amount of weight. So I set it to 1 milliliter, and I'm gonna do for this number of servings, 40, because I did 40 milliliters of the milk, or 40 grams. So serving size, 1 milliliter, 1 gram, number of servings, 40. Okay, and then I'm gonna save that. And then same thing with honey. I'm gonna hit add food, type in honey, because the honey I'm using doesn't have a barcode because it's from a local place here. So you can just search anything in the database. And then this one, Again, serving size says 1 teaspoon, and it's okay before you get your scale to be doing more like teaspoons and cups like I said, but really try to make sure to get over to doing it by weight ASAP because it's just way more specific and you're gonna get better results because of that. So I'm gonna change serving size from 1 teaspoon to 1 gram, and then I'm gonna write for number of servings 5 because I did 5 grams of honey. Okay, so that is this coffee. I also had 1 cappuccino in the morning before I started recording. I didn't add any sugar to it. And like I said, you don't have to track the actual coffee. So I'm gonna track just the milk. So again, I'm just gonna search whole milk in the database, just something generic. And then I'm gonna do maybe like a 1/4 cup is how I'm gonna track it instead of saying the number of grams because I didn't actually weigh it myself and it was probably about a 1/4 cup of milk in there. Okay, so now let's track this breakfast that we just made. So you're gonna hit add food, you're gonna type in egg, and then serving size 1 egg, number of servings 3, add that. And then same thing, the corn tortillas I bought from a local place here, so there's no barcode. So you can just search it in the database, type in corn tortillas and type for the serving size, 1 tortilla, and then number of servings 4, because I had 4 corn tortillas. And then for the cheese, you could scan the barcode of the feta cheese that I had if you want to be specific to the exact brand, which is what I recommend. But otherwise, you can just search in the database, feta cheese, and then you can do 1 gram for number of servings, and I did 10 grams, so number of servings is 10. And then butter, same thing, search it in the database, and I did 2 grams of butter. And then the last thing is gonna be the ketchup. Oops, and I forgot to log our banana as well. Sorry, let me hit add food, banana, and then serving size 1 gram, number of servings is 98. Okay, so now we have everything logged. Now I'm gonna go do some upper body and then I'm gonna show you what I'm eating for the rest of the day and how I track it. Okay, I'm actually still feeling a tad hungry, so I'm gonna eat my yogurt parfait and then go hit the gym because I'm training a little bit later in the day than I normally do. So I'm going to make this, show you guys how I do it, and then on screen, I'm gonna be showing you how I log each ingredient as I walk you through it. So putting the bowl here on the scale, setting it to 0, and then I have my 0 fat Greek yogurt, which is amazing for helping you to get more protein without getting your fat up. So definitely one of my top hacks for eating high protein. So I'm gonna measure out 200 grams of this. And then I'm gonna add in a banana. I usually just cut it with the spoon that I already used. And again, setting the scale to 0. So now I'm gonna know the weight of the banana. Okay, so 83 grams for the banana. All right, and then I'm just gonna add in a little bit of my whey protein, which again, obviously using protein powder makes it a lot easier for you to hit your protein intake for the day. So just adding in 1 scoop throughout your day. So I'm gonna add in 20 grams of protein powder. And with the protein powder you use, by the way, since every single pack is gonna be different, this is something that you don't wanna just search generically in the MyFitnessPal database. You wanna scan the barcode of your specific one, or if you have the free version of MyFitnessPal, you can create a food, and then all you do is add in the nutrition information because yeah, every single protein is gonna be different, so you wanna make sure you're tracking yours correctly. All right, and then I just add on a sprinkle of cinnamon, which you don't need to track, by the way. Spices, garlic, onion, that kind of stuff, you don't need to track. All right, and then just mix it all together. Okay, so there's this messy yogurt parfait. So it was 200 grams of non-fat Greek yogurt, 20 grams of my protein powder, 83 grams of the banana that I added, and that's it. And then just some cinnamon sprinkled together. So this is a really quick, easy snack that's gonna keep you full for a long time, help you get that protein up. All right, so now I'm gonna eat this and then go hit the gym, crush some upper body. All right, fam, back from the gym. So I am about to head out to go look at some apartments here for the next couple of months that I'm gonna be living here. So I'm actually going to make my next 2 meals. So I'm gonna make my post-workout, which originally was gonna be my dinner, but instead I'm gonna eat it now, which is gonna be some steak tacos, just really simple. I'll show you how I make it. And then I was originally going to have some protein oats with some cottage cheese in it for extra protein right now, but instead I'm gonna prepare that one and take it out with me because I'm gonna be going out for the next little bit, so that way I'll have all my macro food with me on the road ready to go. So let's prepare both of these meals and see how I measure and track everything to ensure I hit my macros. Okay, so first I am just gonna take some of this chimichurri. So I just bought this in a store. Again, it's local, so there's no barcode. So in MyFitnessPal, I would just search chimichurri, and I'm gonna be putting in 10 grams of that. And then I'm gonna be cutting up some bell pepper and red onion, which I will not track because you don't need to track things like this because they're just so small, so don't worry about it. So I'm gonna chop that, saute it with the chimichurri. Then I'm gonna add in this T-bone steak. Then I'm gonna heat the corn tortillas and put some Oaxacan cheese, otherwise called quesillo, on top of that. And that's gonna be the meal. So let's do it. Okay, so 10 grams of chimichurri, scale set to 0 here. Let's throw on the veggies. Okay, I'm just gonna cut up this steak now. Looks a little gross, but I like to just take off the fat. I'm cutting up 150 grams of raw T-bone steak. Okay, I ended up getting 160 grams of steak out of that, so I'll make sure to track it accordingly. And then I'm just gonna let that saute as well and add on a tiny bit of garlic salt. So there's the steak cooking. It's quite a lot, as you can see. That's really the key to getting fit, is you need to eat a lot of protein. So a lot of the time it could mean eating a big portion of meat, having lots of Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, supplementing with protein powder, eggs. If you eat all those foods in a day, it's gonna be very easy for you to get enough protein, and you're gonna see how good and full you feel eating such a high protein diet, and also how lean, how toned and defined you get from it as well, because protein is a building block of muscle, and it's also what's gonna help you lose fat and lean out. Okay, so I'm just gonna put the steak here. Okay, now I just want to take the corn tortillas and put a little bit of Oaxacan cheese on each one. I'm gonna do 5 grams of cheese on each tortilla. Okay, then just let that cook for a moment. Okay, so final step is just adding the sauteed steak onto each taco. Okay, so ta-da, there it is. I'm not really great at making food look pretty, but it's quick, it's easy, it tastes good, and it hits your macros, so you're gonna get the results. So this is awesome because you can see, obviously eating tacos with cheese and steak is something that's really yummy and probably food that you wanna be eating anyways, but when you fit it in your macros, you also achieve your goals. You look and feel great. So this is actually the really liberating part about tracking macros, is you realize that there are no bad foods, there are no foods that are off limits. It's all about making it fit in with the amount of food that you need, each of the 3 macros, to look and feel the way that you want to. So you can literally eat whatever, you know, you could customize this however you wanted. You could choose a different kind of meat. You could add in guacamole. You could add in more cheese. You could switch up the sauce you use. Whatever you like, you can design it and make it fit your macros so that you can really enjoy what you eat and get the results you want. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna go out now and look at some apartments for the next little bit, and then I'm gonna go catch the sunset on the beach, which is one of my favorite things about living in Mexico on the beach here, is that that's like a social thing everybody does every day. So I'm gonna take my food with me. So I have this fun little container that I bought in Barcelona. It's collapsible and it comes with the spoon/fork inside of the lid. So I'm actually not gonna cook these oats. You don't have to cook oats. You can do them like in an overnight oats fashion, which is where you just combine everything into a container and the oats will kind of soak and cook that way, but you could cook it in the microwave or on the stove if you wanted to, but I'm just too lazy, so I'm not gonna bother. Okay, so step 1, putting the container on the scale, and now turning it on, and now it's gonna be set to 0. So I already pre-planned everything in my macros, of course. So I'm gonna be measuring out 45 grams of rolled oats. Okay, hit tare, set it to 0 again, and then I'm gonna be doing 200 grams of this low-fat milk. I'm doing a little bit low fat sometimes to help save my fats because I don't get to eat too many fats right now at the end of a cut. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of my protein powder, 10 grams. Okay, and then this is something new I have been doing. I know it maybe sounds weird, but it's just mixing in some cottage cheese with my oats. It actually still tastes good. And cottage cheese is another great source of protein, so you don't have to prepare anything. You can just eat it exactly how it is. This cottage cheese does have a little bit of fat, so make sure to pay attention to that. You can get some without any fat, which is helpful some of the time, so that it's just pure protein and no fat. So I'm measuring out 85 grams because that's what I figured out for my macros. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix this all together now. Okay, it's all mixed together there. Doesn't look very good again, but it tastes good. And obviously normally I would just eat this in the house, but it's just because I gotta go out for the next little bit, so I'm gonna take it with me. And I just wanna point out how I have prepared this food to take out with me. A lot of the time, that is the level of dedication that you need to have to really, really be sure that you are hitting your macros. Because if you're going out of the house, you can't really just hope that you're gonna find food when you're out that's gonna hit your macros. That is definitely a way to fail at this. Obviously, you know, 1-2 meals a week week out is totally fine. And 1 time per week, you are entitled to a proper cheat meal. But other than that, especially when you're cutting, when fat loss is your goal, as I have been for the last 5 months, you really need to make sure that you are adhering to your macros, because that is literally what is creating the fat loss. So if you are not adhering to your macros, you're not going to see the progress that you want. So doing one extra step like this, just preparing your food and taking it with you. I know it might seem a little weird. You know, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you're eating food out of a container, but it doesn't matter. You know, the people who probably think that don't have the results that you want. So keep that in mind, that sometimes that is just what you need to do if you really, really want to be on top of your goals. And it really actually isn't that hard. And you end up feeling so much better as well, because when you're eating right, you feel good, and then you obviously get the results that you want, and that is worth everything. So I'm going to head out for the day, and I'm going to show you guys when I have this for sunset on the beach. So I think you guys can see why I'm literally obsessed with living here, because it's so beautiful. So I'm actually still full, because when you eat high protein like that, you are full for so long. But yeah, at some point soon, I'm gonna eat the oatmeal. So I just wanted to share what my macros are right now. Keep in mind that this is at the end of 5 months of cutting. So this is the lowest intake that I'm gonna have for a really long time. So I'm doing 140 grams of protein, 175 grams of carbs, and 55 grams of fat. So definitely the carbs and fat are a little bit on the low side, but I honestly still feel like I get to eat really fun, easy meals, like especially like the tacos, super delicious. So yeah, that is how you track your macros. I hope this video was helpful. And here you can go check out this video that's gonna walk you through step by step how to go through a fat loss phase so you can lose fat sustainably while keeping a high calorie intake. So I'll see you in that video.